one.
They've seen pictures of it, they've seen videos of it, or they've been to it.
Hi, I'm Albert, founder and CTO of Sim.
Same thing with other kinds of learning. It's really good. That's a good question. So,
Hi,
there could be a
I'm
little
Dave,
confusion, maybe
founder and
just
CEO of Sim.
AI, ML. So, maybe I'll take
Welcome to the Dave and Albert Show.
Wow.
That was awesome.
Go,
So,
Dave.
3, 2, 1, and welcome to the Dave and Albert Show. Hey, Albert.
Yeah, hey Dave. I mean, that was the first time I've heard that. I don't know, EDM, electro dance music.
Yes.
That was great. I mean, it really pumped the blood in my heart on a Saturday afternoon throughout my whole body.
Your sinus rhythm is high.
Yeah, it's just it's like party mode.
That's
all right.
awesome.
If you're watching this, welcome to the Dave and Albert Show. The reason why we're doing this is because some awesome people, interns in SIMF actually. Tracy
Yeah.
notably, and Chris is also there. I know Carl helped out. I know Dell also helped out. I know there are a lot of people helping out with this one, but there's one other proponent. His name's Bryant, and he really is like always wanting us to do a Dave and Albert show.
That's right.
So, right there.
There he is,
Bryant.
Brian Gonzalez.
We're-
Welcome back.
we're
Thanks,
back.
Brian. Our number
Shout
one
out.
fan. He actually started a petition and forced us to sign it. He slipped it in with all of the regular checks and other documents I have to sign, and then I signed a petition to bring back the Dave and Albert Show. So
Exactly. I mean, I know definitely today he's supposed to be watching the Olympics and monitoring that, but he's
Yes.
made time to watch this live stream. So just shout out to you, Bryant. Now, okay, let's get down to sort of like business. But for this Dave and Albert episode, we're introducing something new. It's called What Dave and Albert Thinks. And I'm kind of nervous as I'm talking right now because I have no idea what this is about, but it's supposed to be about what Dave and Albert thinks.
So let me tell you, in this segment, we're going to guess the mystery person based on the description that will be shown on the screen.
Now, after we take turns in guessing, which I hope we get correctly because I
Me
don't
too.
know, I don't know what this is about. The topic will be revealed that is related to the character we just guessed. So,
And from there, we're going to take it in talking about the topic. So are you ready?
I
I'm
feel
kind
like
of nervous.
Yeah, I feel like this will like demolish the credibility we have right before we
Yeah,
talk
exactly.
about
We're
the
both
topic.
going to be like, I don't know. Okay, let's start. Let's take it away. Okay, I'll read this one. He
Go.
developed a variant on the popular display editor Emacs and wrote a version of the Unix operating system for multiprocessor computer systems. Oh gosh.
It's okay. This is bad history. This is history. I mean, like this. Okay, this guy's old because wrote a version of the Unix. I have a feeling this is Linus Torvalds.
I don't know. I mean Unix. Yeah, let's go with
Okay,
that.
he's a version of Unix, but
Yeah,
Emacs,
which is Linux. So
I'm
I'm,
Emacs.
I don't know about that part, but let's go with that.
No, a variant. So maybe he made Vim. I have no idea. Okay, let's try Linus Torvalds. How is this gonna work? Are we gonna?
I don't know. Incorrect.
Incorrect.
Oh.
Oh my god! Shucks. That's my best shot.
Okay, it's your turn to read this one. This is our
We
next one.
don't get to find out who the person is.
Maybe later. Maybe some guests we could phone
Okay,
in a
I'll-
friend or something.
All right. Next character. Next person. He is the founder of this programming language that is used in applications as diverse as desktop computing, enterprise applications, web service, and is widely used. This could be any computer language.
This could be any language, but I'm thinking it's Python. This is what I'm
Oh.
gonna lean towards.
Okay, I know this one. This is Guido.
Yeah.
Guido van Rossum.
Oh,
What? So we guessed Python, but Guido van Rossum is the founder of Python. So but
Yeah.
it wasn't Python Day. Maybe it was Java.
maybe Java.
James Gosling is a Canadian computer scientist known as the founder of the most popular programming language.
Maybe it's Java then.
So we use Java.
Enterprise. I guess we should have gone with that.
Yeah, but Java, even if we knew it was Java, I wouldn't have known that the founder was James Gosling. Would you have known?
I would not have. I would not have.
Dang, we have very appreciative programming folks. We don't even know the people who invented the languages we use.
We don't.
All right, next. Do we have another one? All right, we don't. So
Oh wait.
okay.
Oh.
There was a flash. What was that?
Oh. No, we're proceeding to the topic. Let's do this one quickly. We'll give ourselves a countdown.
Okay.
Commonly known by his username DMR, he was an American computer scientist who helped shape the digital era. He created the C programming language and the Unix operating system.
Dave, you should know this, right? Because I don't.
And I'm getting old. My computer science theory and history is old. I don't remember. We're so bad.
I've seen this guy's face.
Yes.
Because he's in like computer science books, so I know he has a picture of his face, the inventor of C. But are you googling right now, Dave? Like, are you googling?
No, I got a notification. I had to turn off my do not disturb was not on.
I saw you looking at your screen. I was like, oh man, is he googling on this? Okay, I have
I
no
wish.
idea. Who is this?
I want to say Richie, something Richie, right?
Oh,
okay, Richie.
There you go.
Richie.
Got it.
Fun fact. Dennis Ritchie is a computer scientist notable for his influence on Altran B, BCPL, C, Multics, and Unix. Wow. Yeah. So here's to say that we are very rusty on our computer science history and the founders of different languages. So let's proceed to the topic.
Okay, now let's talk about the topic. Topic for today is, which is better, being a programming specialist or a code generalist? But maybe before we answer that question, Dave, like maybe you should give a bit of background of yourself. Like, you're a CEO, but I mean, do you ever code?
Once upon a time, I did. So back in the day when I was a kid growing up, I started working with computers because my dad was a database administrator. And so my dad goes back to the original IBM punch card days, right? Like, he went to training with IBM for the punch cards, like the beginning of computer science. And I got into computer programming when I was in high school. I started with the language that I would say generally a lot of people in my era started with, and that was PHP. And so we started building things on the web with PHP. And then from there, I went with what was new at the time, Ruby, and then started using the Rails framework. So Ruby on Rails is what I was sort of most notable programming with. And that was a long time ago. So yeah, I won't give years because I'm getting old now. But yeah, I was once upon a time a programmer. What about you? How did you get started, and what's your history?
Yeah, so I started quite early. My dad's a civil engineer, so I had nothing to do with computers. But when I was in grade 5, we ended up in a house that was owned by. We were renting this house, and the owner was an owner of a computer school that closed down, and so all his books, computer books, were just kind of stored in a storage unit in that house we were renting. And I was bored and nothing to do. And so I started reading these books. And I picked up the first book. I remember the first book that I picked up. It was called Java, Learning Java. I picked it up, opened it, and I saw all the curly braces. And man, it just scared. I was grade 6. It scared me. I put it back. And then there was another book beside it that said Basic. Not basic. Visual Basic.
Yep.
Just
Basic.
And so I picked that up. I still remember like the smell of that book because that book was old. And I learned programming by reading, and then I understood the concept. I didn't have a computer to practice on at that time. So what I did was I wrote my computer programs, and I also imagined how they would run. Like I basically like compiled it in my brain and imagined like how it would run. And I was just looking forward to the day where I would be able to get access to a computer and then like run that computer program. So that's kind of like how I started. Obviously high school happened and you forget all about it, and then college comes in, and that's when I started IT, and I and then PHP. You do PHP. That's where we all
PHP.
started, I think, in this era.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, from this era. I can't say nowadays. I think that the kids are starting with other stuff now, which is good. Nothing wrong with PHP. Still widely used, but yeah.
Okay. So question is, which
is better, being a
I-
programming specialist or a code generalist?
Yeah, instead of asking which is better, maybe let's frame the question like, when is it useful? So let's start with like
You
mean,
can
but
tell
maybe-
we're C-level people. We're like, we're
Yeah.
gonna change the question.
or maybe like pick. Okay, pick. If you want to pick one, can you pick one?
I think I'm in agreement, like reframing the question, because I think there isn't necessarily general advice that's always good for everybody. It depends. It depends on the person. It depends on the role. But I guess if I did have to pick one, right now I would probably say be a generalist with an area of specialty, right? So I'm cheating. I'm always cheating, but I
So you
think
basically
like
combine both.
yeah, I'm
made it
combining
harder.
both. Yeah,
Okay.
just do both. No, and I think I would lean more towards the generalist side, and the reason for that is because technology changes so quickly. So to me, the ability to learn a new concept or a new framework or a new language, you're better suited if you're a bit of a generalist in that sense. And that's sort of what I'm thinking. But it doesn't mean that I don't view the specialization as valuable. It would just be, if I really am forced to pick one, I would lean towards code generalist, and that's why.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I totally get that. But on the specialist front, right? I think there are some benefits to being a specialist. I would
Absolutely.
say there's a lot of a lot of benefit to being a generalist. But maybe let me advocate a little bit for the specialist front here. So I have this friend. He works now on Facebook. He used to work for SAP, I think, and specializing on Android phones, right? And specializing on programming on Android phones, Android apps, but with like C++. Like literally, what they do is what he does, I think, is he tries to optimize like how the videos are being rendered on the screen so that they're really buttery smooth, and like the experience on the app, I think in Facebook or in SAP, I forgot, where it's really like really smooth and really good, and it's really high performant and it doesn't eat up the battery. And in order for you to be able to know how to do that, like you're going down into the deepest level, right? You're not coding in Java or Kotlin or whatever, or worse, React Native or higher. I mean, it's still
higher
good,
tiers.
but it's like high level, and then you go to the low level, and you're really optimizing all these processes.
Yeah.
And you need to be a specialist to be able to do that. And what's cool with being a specialist, though, I think, is the feeling of being in demand, right? Because there's only a limited number of people who could do that at that level, and you're one of those people. And I think there's a bit more prestige to that, I would say.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think, building on sort of the reframing of the question, for me, it also depends on what you want. What do you want to do with your career? Like, where do you want to focus on? Do you want to build deep level type of things? Because then definitely specialization is the way to go. Because as Albert mentioned, you have to get, out of those higher level or top level programming tiers, and you have to get into the nitty gritty, the lower level type of things. If you say want to just be sort of building web applications or mobile apps or things like that, then you're still going to have to specialize to a certain degree. Like you can't be a master of everything. So I think I like your points on the specialization, and maybe we should go into reframing the question now. So you were mentioning earlier, Albert, how would you reframe this?
Yeah, I would reframe it of like what is better for each category. Where does it apply? So for example, if you are going to be a generalist, when is it useful? If you're going to be a specialist, when is it useful? What are the cases where it's useful. But before we jump into that, actually, I just came into my mind because we're talking about the Olympics right now, right? Like, I mean, the
Yes.
Olympics. Um, I would almost wager that everybody who competes at the Olympics are specialists.
Yeah.
Like they dedicate their lives to like one category or
Mhm.
very related categories of
Yep.
sports, right? You
Yeah.
won't see somebody who's great at ping pong and then also great at track and field or great
Yeah.
at swimming. You have
Yeah.
like somebody who's dedicated their life to that and then competing at the highest levels of performance in that category. And
Yeah.
that I think brings great rewards.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's like that is really really good. Now the problem I think that can come along with that is if if that sport becomes extinct, right? Or like
Yep. Yep.
if that
Exactly.
sport is removed from the Olympics or something, then suddenly your whole career is like
Upended.
yeah, like if you're the best typist, right? If you're like the best typewriter, encoder ever there is, and then suddenly now all the typewriter is gone. I mean
Yeah.
programming languages
I
as
mean,
well,
like
right?
punch cards, right? You were the
Yeah.
best punch code machine operator, and then, well, sorry. Um,
Yep.
but again, I think with the rate of technology change, that is the mindset you have to just be aware of, or you have to remember. It shouldn't deter you from specialization. I think it's an interesting example that you use, and I think one thing to really think about is, do you have the dedication and the focus to become one of the best specialists in the world, right? Because I would say even the example you gave of your friend at Facebook, it probably took him a long time to really master those things and to become one of the specialists. And that's a great position to be in. You somewhat have a moat of protection around you that it would require other people to at least match this same level of commitment that he or she had to get there. And I think that that's pretty interesting in terms of the
Yeah.
specialization.
I like that you brought it up because there's a difference between a specialist, meaning somebody who took one category, one programming language, and really went deep, right? And there's a
Mhm.
difference between that and a person who took many programming languages and mastered them to some level, not very deep, but to some
Right.
level. And
Right.
they know a lot and they're a generalist.
Right.
And those two are good in most cases.
Hmm.
But there's one thing where it's useless in all cases, which is the person who took one category and didn't even specialize is just really like shallow. Like
Yeah,
it's like the worst of both worlds, right? Shallow
that's
and
right.
only one, then you're kind of like it's not great. So you
Yeah.
need to either if you pick one, go deep. If
Yeah.
you want to go wide, then go wide, but don't go shallow and one, right? Like
Yeah.
that's
I agree.
yeah.
I agree. Again, like career advice, I think it's good to know yourself and what type of person are you. Are you someone who you see the latest announcement for this version of Node or Flutter, and you're just excited, you want to go learn it really quickly, and you just want to see the latest and greatest new thing? That's fine. Know it about yourself, and then realize that yes, maybe you are better suited to be something of a generalist, where you do know a lot of different technology stacks to a certain level of depth, where you can do things in them. I'm not saying like beginner level. You obviously have to go a little deeper, but you may not be a master of just one thing, where you're only focused on C++ down at that very low level, or deep level.
I have a question for you, Dave. Like, talking about you mentioned a while ago, be a generalist, but also specialize in kind of like one category as well. So it's like a specialist and a generalist combined.
Mm.
What's your take on how you go about that? Like, do you generalize first and then find a specialty, or do you specialize first and then you generalize? Like, what's the route here?
I would say, based on sort of my life and my experience, I would generalize first and then specialize. Now, the reason that I chose that route or sort of went about that way is that I wanted to understand as much about the field as I could. and then I wanted to find things that really sort of excited me. I'm one of the types of people where I like looking at the new things. I like bouncing around, right? I beta test software. I'm just that guy who I'm the early adopter of technology. I don't know why exactly, but I just have been my entire life, and it gets me excited. And so in order for me to find something that I could specialize in, I really wanted to see sort of like, what is the lay of the land? What are the advantages of this? What are the advantages of that? How do I feel using this and that? Somewhat to even the example you gave with the 2 books you looked at of Basic versus Java, how do I feel about the curly braces or the structure of the language, right? Like, to me, I actually found that those things mattered to me because I wanted to write in a certain style, and the style made sense to me. And I would actually say that's sort of why I ended up in Ruby on Rails, because the style of the language actually resonated with the way that I like to structure code. And so, in a sense, I would advise that you generalize first and sort of explore. You don't necessarily have to go deep in anything quite yet, but just explore and find out what you like about certain things, what you don't like about certain things. The other thing that I would advise programmers to do specifically, or developers to do specifically, is to also look at the market. What are people building on? And what type of technologies are they using to do certain things? So, just probably a very common example, but if you look at Python, if you're looking at data science or machine learning or areas in that category, Python is somewhat still the go-to language for that. It doesn't mean that Python is useless in other things, but you should look at the market and see what is the market using this language for.
Got it. While you were talking, I totally agree. And I think I would also want to get the lay of the land first, and get the lay of the land, so to speak. But then as you were talking, I also thought there's a part of me that says, like, don't aim for, it's almost like instead of going like generalize first and then specialize later, it's actually more of like generalize a little and specialize a bit, and then generalize some more, but then specialize some more, going back, double down. Like, it's like don't, it's not one category first and then the next category second, because okay, let me explain.
Yeah.
I felt like me specializing, for example, in Google Cloud, and really like going deep into that and how that works, and trying to really understand the deep stuff of how Google Cloud specifically works, allows me to, when I start learning about AWS, about Azure, about all other clouds, it allows me to make, like, allows me to learn faster, and allows me to make like analogous comparisons of like, okay, I know this is how it works in Google Cloud. How does it work here? Like, I'm able to understand it faster, better, and go deep faster in AWS, for example, because I know what deep looks like in Google Cloud, right?
That's a good point.
Yeah. But the truth was, I also didn't like go like specialize first and then generalize later. I kind of like generalized a bit and specialized a bit, and then expanded a little bit more, and then specialized again. Like, the effort was in spurts in different directions. If specialization was going deep and generalizing was going horizontally, I was going horizontally, and then deep down, and then horizontal again in spurts, right? So
that's a good point. I do agree with that model of, you should keep going in both directions. You should, and I think if there was anything to take away from this conversation, is that you should never stop learning. You should always be increasing your knowledge, whether it is horizontally, as in you're going to other technology stacks, or you're going to other languages, or if you're just pushing vertically deeper and deeper into the stack that you already know. You have to do that. You have to constantly be learning in this industry that we're in. And I think that is so important. I think you also established a good point that I would also want to highlight. And that is, you have to establish, say, like a mastery of something. For example, for you to just go from Google Cloud and bounce into it and then bounce over to AWS, you never really became a master of it. You never really had enough core knowledge to be able to then say, oh, okay, I see what they're doing over here on AWS is similar to what I'm very familiar with on Google Cloud. I think that is incredibly important for anyone who's learning technology. you have to be able to understand those things, right? And so I always aged myself, but one of the other things I loved about Ruby on Rails is that we had gems. Gems were like amazing, and they were so cool. And now we have all of these different, like every language somewhat has what I would call a derivative of Ruby gems. And the package managers and all of this stuff is way more advanced nowadays than it was when I was a kid. When I was a kid, yeah, I was a kid when I developed. I was still a kid, and I think that without that knowledge, that I have from, and even though it's sub like 20 years ago that I was doing this and using this, I think that knowledge helps me understand the core technologies, at least to a certain extent, and I think that is one thing I would advocate for, that even if you want to generalize and sort of get a lay of the land, you have to very quickly decide what you're going to commit to. And you have to go into that to a depth where you are sort of a master of it. You have to be competent, and you can't just jump around, bouncing around, as Albert mentioned earlier, like, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. Then you won't really have a usefulness.
Cool. All right, let's recap. This was good. So in recap, always be learning.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then second, learn in directional spurts, right? Like go horizontal, wide, and then also go deep and wide and deep and deep and wide and go on. All right. Okay. So I think that's good enough. Hopefully, if you have some questions, feel free to put them in the comments. We'll be happy to take them on. Also, if you have suggestions for next topics for us to cover, please do just add them to the comments and we'll get to it. Okay.
Absolutely.
So, I have a note here in the script. It says, before formally ending, Albert to plug. So here I go. We're the founders of Symph, a software development company. No, we're a software design and development company. We basically design and build websites, mobile apps, and custom software for clients all over the world.
Yeah. To learn more about us, then you can just visit our website. It's symph.co. It's also being flashed on the bottom of the screen. You can like our page on Facebook, Instagram, follow us on Twitter. And then obviously we would want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts, and listen to this week's episode of The Dave and Albert Show. So we're excited to be back. Thanks again to the awesome team of Symphers and Symph interns who made this possible. We're super, super excited. Bryant, we didn't spend our Saturday just responding to a bully to silence you, but we're appreciative of your unending support of the Dave and Albert Show.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Alrighty.
Bye.
Bye-bye, guys and gals.
3, 2, 1.
They've seen pictures of it, they've seen videos of it, or they've been to it.
Hi, I'm Albert, founder and CEO of Symph. That's really good. That's a good question. So,
Hi,
there could be a
I'm Dave,
confusion,
founder and
maybe
CEO of Symph.
ML. So, maybe I'll take.
Welcome to the Dave and Albert Show.